our panel. Jeffrey Goldberg is the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Eliana Johnson is a national political reporter for Politico. Ben Domenech is the founder and publisher of The Federalist. And Rachel Bade covers Congress for Politico. So we heard a lot there from the president's attorney, from the senator herself, on the latest developments with the president's legal problems. What do you make of what you just heard, Rachel?
First of all, you could see Giuliani's segments. He went back, segmenting, I should say, segueing. He went 4 times back to this new revelation that there was an FBI agent who was engaging in some potentially political bias at the FBI, basically pointing to these text messages that came out this week where an agent said, we're going to stop President Trump from getting to the White House. Now, it's one thing for an FBI agent to have political beliefs. You're allowed to do that, obviously. It's a free country. It's another thing to act on them. And the Inspector General in that report specifically said that this text messages suggested that this agent was willing to act on his political bias. I do think that this is interesting because the segueing that you just saw with Giuliani, this is exactly what Republicans are going to do from here on out whenever we talk about the Russia investigation. They're going to use this to try to discredit the Mueller investigation and say this agent was one of the key agents who opened the Russia investigation. Potentially, we can't trust this investigation.
And Ben, we are going to see a hearing in the House this week, another next week. You had Trey Gowdy saying that they want the names of the other individuals who were highlighted in this report as potentially having political bias. Mm-hmm. Does this catch on beyond the Beltway?
Well, one of the things that I think we should keep in mind here is the separation between the optics of this for the FBI, which are obviously awful, particularly the leadership of the FBI and the Obama Justice Department, which if you're calling not just saying bad things about the president, but saying that his voters are poor, dumb, racist, they call them mentally retarded at one point, it's not the sort of thing that can give Republican voters any confidence that this was the kind of investigation that didn't come from a biased perspective. But you mentioned Congress. I think the bigger concern is not what this agent is saying in his text, but the fact that that text was never turned over to Congress, which should raise a lot of flags when it comes to what other things have they not turned over, what other things have they not given us the full perspective on, things that aren't just embarrassing but could potentially be more serious.
And that is why you are now having questions being asked of the Deputy Attorney General and more pressure being put on him.
Yeah, I think you saw from Rudy Giuliani the clear emergence of a new legal strategy for the president. He talked about Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who was on the Hillary Clinton probe, and then on the Trump FBI probe, and then on the Mueller probe. And he said, we can't agree for the president to sit down with Robert Mueller until we determine how this FBI agent who discussed his bias against Donald Trump, saying he was going to stop Trump from getting to the White House, till we determine how he tainted the Mueller probe. Mm-hmm. Now, Strzok was removed from the Mueller probe by Robert Mueller, but in my view, it's going to be basically impossible to determine how this agent tainted the Mueller probe. Right. And in the IG report that we got this week, the IG said, look, these guys were clearly made inappropriate political comments, but it's very difficult to determine how the decisions they made on the investigation were or weren't colored by their political views.
We're going to pick this up on the other side of this commercial break. We'll be back in a moment.